Town of Sheffield Selectboard meeting to order at 7:02 on April 5th, 2021. I'm going to ask everyone to mute themselves if you've got any kind of background noise. And I want to do a few things. First of all, the meeting is being recorded audio by CTSB. Thank you. Anyone else can record the meeting with the permission of the chair. You just need to ask. I want to introduce the select board members that are with us tonight. Martin Mitzoff, Bob Kilmer, Renee Wood. We also have with us our town administrator, Rhonda Lombard, and her assistant, Jill Hughes. The meeting agenda was revised with the inclusion of one item, which has now become number 13, and that is an appointment announcement. I think we may, I don't think we, school committee member, we had a resignation, and we'll pick that up as number 13. So let me go ahead and get started. We've got a long agenda tonight, and I thank everyone in advance for joining us. It's very encouraging to hear all those clicks. So is there a motion on the set of minutes that were sent out to us for approval or revision? Is there a motion on this?
This is Martin Mitzoff. I move that we approve the working meeting minutes of the Select Board from February 23rd, 2021, the March 1st Select Board meeting, the March 10th the Select Board, the March 10th, 2021 executive session meeting, the March 15th working meeting, the March 15th regular meeting, the March 17th meeting with the Finance Committee, and the March 23rd working meeting, those minutes as drafted.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Great, thank you, Bob. Is there any discussion on any of those minutes? If not, roll call vote. Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee? Aye. Okay, and thank you, Jill, for keeping us so up to date on our minutes. The second item is a discussion and action regarding request for a donate life flag. Rhonda, would you walk us through this, please?
Sure. So we've had a request from Susan Crom to fly a donate life flag for the month of April in the center of town. April is Donate Life Month, and Mrs. Crom would like to fly a flag as her son was a donor and has saved and helped 65 people with the donations that he made. And then there is also a proclamation that she's asking the Board of Selectmen to sign. Do you want me to read that, Renee, or are you good?
That would be wonderful. Thank you, Rhonda.
Presented to New England Donor Services, whereas there are more than 108,000 Americans with more than 60,000 in New England who are currently waiting for life-saving organ transplant. And whereas there are over 1 million life-enhancing tissue transplants each year that are made possible by the generous donation of cornea, bone, skin, or other tissue. And whereas we can all help to save someone's life and benefit up to 50 recipients by signing up to become an organ and tissue donor by enrolling in the Massachusetts Donor Registry when we apply for or renew our driver's licenses, or by registering online at www.registerme.org. And whereas Massachusetts is a leader in donor designation rates and is dedicated to making it fast and easy to sign up to save a life through our registry of motor vehicles. And whereas this observance pays tribute to organ and tissue donors and their families whose decision to donate a life enables others to receive life-saving organs and tissues for transplant.
All right, board members, comments? How do you feel about this?
Where would the flag fly?
Well, I was wondering what you thought about under the Massachusetts state flag on the town hall flagpole.
That would be fine with me.
That's good with me as well. Renee?
So is there, I'm sorry, did you have something else to say, Martin? I'm sorry.
No, I was asking what was your thought on that flagpole?
I think it's great. I've been a donor for many, many years, so I really support this. Does any of the board members wish to make a motion?
This is Martin. I'll make a motion that we approve the flying of a Donate Life flag from the main flagpole at Town Hall for the month of April, and that we designate Renee Wood to sign the proclamation read out by Rhonda Lombard regarding Donate Life Month, as is.
I'll second.
Okay, great. Any further discussion? I would like
I have a
to
question.
have this.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, the board's deliberating.
Sorry.
I would like to have this just put in our news section of our website, and no email blast or anything, but I would just like to have this made available under our news section, if that's agreeable to you, Bob and Martin.
It is.
That would be fine.
Okay, let's take a roll call vote then. Martin,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Renee, aye. Thank you, and we very much thank Susan Crom for bringing this to our attention and asking us to take this action. Okay, our next item is a discussion with the Sheffield Beautification Committee regarding a Welcome to Sheffield sign. We had this come before us last fall, I believe it was, and we asked them to go do a little bit more work, and they're back. And who is speaking for the group?
I would like to make some remarks, if that's okay.
Who is speaking, please?
Kathy Starpoli.
Okay, Kathy, thank you.
Okay, so I'll give everybody an update. As you know, the Beautification Committee and the Sheffield Gardeners submitted a letter to the town administrator as well as the board describing the sign that we would like to be placed in the center of town. The sign would say Sheffield, established 1733, and the slogan, "Where the Berkshires Began," underneath. We feel that centrality is important because in the center of town are our historical buildings, churches, and all of our merchants. So here's an update. We met with the Mass DOT representatives at the site on March 5th, at the proposed site. They took measurements, many measurements, the distance from the center of Route 7, looking at all other possibilities of, causing any kind of a visual blockage, all that type of thing. They had a very positive view of the project. They loved the slogan, "Where the Berkshires Began," thought that really suited our historic nature. At that time, they recommended that a permit application be completed by the town. The fee is being waived on that application. The director of the district DOT, Francesca Hemming, has approved that and requested that an application for the sign come from the town. Just some additional info. We did go around in town and talk to local residents and merchants and gave them the mock-up of the sign. And we met with a great amount of enthusiasm and support from the local merchants and organizations. So let me quickly name some of them: Marketplace, Pilates, Bacon Bakery, Roberto's, Silk, Berkshire Bank, Berkshire Bass, Farmers Market, Sheffield Historical Society, Sheffield Land Trust, the Sheffield Kiwanis, Wheeler and Taylor, Dewey Hall, and Harrop Antiques. They were all very enthusiastic about the sign, and they really loved the idea. So at this time, we request that the town apply for the necessary permit.
Questions from the board?
I have no questions. It sounds like a great idea as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Martin?
Just a question. So what is the location of the site for DOT's analysis?
The site would be, currently there's a cement slab with a bench on it. And that bench, as far as I know, was being used as kind of a waiting area for the Peter Pan bus that comes through, which is, my understanding, is no longer coming through. So it would just require that the bench be relocated, and then the sign placed on that particular spot. I would imagine people from the highway department could take a look and see what that is involved. To the DOT people and to us, it didn't seem like it was a monumental task. By the way, the sign would be double-sided, and we did get some information from Guy. The sign would be double-sided, and the carved type of sign, beautifully done. As you know, their work is quite lovely.
Right, and Renee, if I may, just one further follow-up question.
Yes, of course.
So DOT's work with regard to site distances and so forth, Kathy, does that take into account vehicles exiting from the village green, for example, where Berkshire Bank and Silks and the bakery are now, exiting onto Route 7 going either north or south? The sign would not impair site visibility there, or do we know?
Right. That's exactly true, and they did spend quite a bit of time looking around, making sure that it was the safest possible site. Susan Pittman may have more information about that. Susan? You have to unmute. Can you unmute?
I have a little bit more. The distance from the road is the 37, which is perfect. They did go over all of the possible obstructions that could be possible and decided that that really was the best place for it to be placed. At this point, the sign is well within the 45 square foot requirements for that type of sign used in the center of Sheffield. We did go to Paul Green about this originally.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure that DOT considered it from the perspective of a vehicle, a private vehicle or otherwise, exiting onto Route 7. I mean, I know they do their work along Route 7 because that's a state highway, but I just want to ensure for future safety that they did consider a driver either exiting north, which would be a left-hand turn, or exiting south, which would be a right-hand turn, that it doesn't impair the field of vision for approaching traffic in either direction.
I don't believe that it does. We've been working with Kevin Whalen, who's an engineer with DOT, and I can definitely bring that to his attention and get back to you. But from all of the conversations we've had so far, there doesn't seem to be any kind of problem with obstruction of vision.
Okay, let's have you just check with Kevin. I know Kevin, he does very thoroughly, but let's just have you double check with him on that.
All right.
Martin, do you have any other questions?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, so I'm curious. I don't want to slight our friends in Ashley Falls, which are definitely part of Sheffield. Did you have any discussion with the Ashley Falls Improvement Society, or get their buy-in on this?
No, at this point we did not. We did consider some alternate sites including putting the sign down at the, where the 7 and 7A intersect, which really is Ashley Falls. However, there's another one of the ladder signs there, and we just thought that would, to us, that looked like, a less appropriate placement for the sign. And then, our feeling, and especially in talking with local organizations, the center of town really is our village green, and everybody felt that was really an appropriate place for it. But no, I did not have a conversation with the Ashley Falls.
I don't think you're going to have any problems, but I do want to be respectful of Ashley Falls. And I think one or more of you know Tricia Fry, who is the Ashley Falls Improvement Society president, and that's kind of the main group down there. I just would like to have you just let them know what's going on and get their feelings.
I would be happy to have a conversation with her, and I can get back to you on that.
Great. And I'm trying to remember what the cost of the sign was, and I don't think there's been any donations on that, so I think you were expecting or requesting that the town pay for that.
At this time, we are requesting that the town pay for it. It's in the neighborhood of $3,500 for the double-sided sign, as quoted by Dee.
Okay. All right. So, I think we have. I don't know whether the board, Rhonda. I don't know whether we have money for this in the current budget under buildings and grounds or something else.
I'll have to take a look, Renee, and see how that budget's running and let you know.
Okay. We also have the checkpoint with Kevin Whalen from DOT, and we also have the checkpoint from Tricia Frey at Ashley Falls Improvement Society. So could we schedule this for a final decision once we get these three pieces of information together for our next meeting, which is going to be on 4/20?
Okay.
We should be able to wrap it up at that time. Okay?
Very good.
Sounds good. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. You've done a lot of work. I appreciate it. Board members, is that okay with you?
I'm good with
I'm with me.
Okay, great. So we're going to defer that decision to 4/20, and we'll get those pieces of information we're missing. I know that Phyllis Joyce is with us, but let me just see, is there anyone from Dewey Hall
Yes,
with us?
I'm
Okay.
here.
All right, so who is you?
Maggie McRae, the hall
Hi,
manager.
Maggie.
Hi.
Okay, so let's take up our next item then, and then we'll move Phyllis up. Discussion possible action regarding Dewey Hall's outdoor performance proposal, and we do have that in our packets. And Maggie, if you would just like to go over this briefly so that people who are in attendance know what you're planning, and then we'll go to the decision on this.
Sure. So last year, because of COVID, we weren't able to host indoor events at the hall. So we switched to doing outdoor events so we could continue providing arts, community, and culture to Sheffield. And they were hugely successful. People found a great deal of joy and pleasure in being able to hear live music. And so we're just requesting that our outdoor permit be extended for this year from basically May through the end of the year, so that we can provide those fun events to the community.
So when you say from like May, are you looking to like 12/31, or when is the end of the year for you?
I think in the information that I wrote, I just meant 12/31 because I'm not sure what's going to happen in terms
That's
of
okay.
outdoor planning. So it just seemed easier to do it all in one meeting.
Okay, and we have a lot of specifics on social distancing and hygiene and staffing and operations, cleaning and disinfectants. Board members, do you have any questions for Maggie?
I do not. Looks like it was a very thoroughly thought out process here, so I'm happy with it.
And this
Martin,
is
how about
Martin,
you?
I'm also satisfied with the, protocols that are envisioned.
Okay, so does anyone wish to make a motion on this?
Without being specific as to the exact permit, this is Martin, I will make a motion that we extend the permit for, outdoor entertainment for Dewey Hall as proposed in this memorandum, doesn't have a date on it.
We can just make it as of today.
As of today, yeah, as of April 5th.
All right, and that would be from April 5th through the end of the year.
Through the end of the year.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Rhonda, do you know what type of permit this would look like or what this would be? I don't remember what we gave last time.
I think we just gave a letter last time. That should cover that we're allowing outdoor. But of course, you know that you have to apply for one-day alcohol licenses ahead of time if that's what you're going to do. If you're going to serve alcohol as well. Okay.
Okay. So, Maggie, we will get you a letter on this. This is irrespective and doesn't include the one-day alcohol permit. I know you know that. Any other discussion on this, board members? Otherwise, we'll do a roll call vote.
I'm good.
Okay, Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee, aye. Rhonda, do you have time to draft that letter, or should one of us do it?
Whatever you prefer, Renee, I'll do it, or if one of you would like to, that's fine too.
Anybody volunteering?
This is Martin, I'll do it.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Martin. All right, let's move on to an election update. I'm kind of shifting the schedule a little bit, but Phyllis is here. So Phyllis, would you give us an update, please, on the election coming up in May?
Yeah, so I think what we'll probably do is start with a voter registration deadline reminder, which includes both the town meeting and the election. It's a combined event in town. So the deadline to register to vote, if you are not already a registered voter, you don't have to re-register, will be Tuesday, April 13th. There are a couple of options for registering. We can be phoned at the office and make arrangements when we can make appointments for folks to come into the lobby, or meet them at the door with a registration card. They can then pop it in the drop box at their convenience. You can also go online to the Secretary of State's website, or you can, if you happen to be there and you're inclined to do so, register at the Registry of Motor Vehicles. Any option that is done online, I would strongly advise that they follow up with the office and just be sure that we are indeed in receipt of their registration and make sure that everything is complete. The next event would be Election Day, which is Monday, May 10th. I do need to speak to the selectmen and see what your wishes would be for, I know last year we modified the hours a little bit. I'm not sure if that's something that you are looking to do again this year under COVID restrictions, or if, so our typical hours would be 7 in the morning until 7 at night for a local election. Last year, I believe we did 9 in the morning until 7 at night. So I would just like to have you verify what time you would like us to open.
Okay, so we don't have that on our agenda tonight.
So
So
is that something that we can maybe think
we're
about?
going to do it. We will do it, and we will post it on our next agenda to announce what we've done.
Okay.
Board members, do you have any preference, including Rhonda, any advice on this?
I would leave it to Phyllis. I'm happy with her decision.
Well,
I agree.
So, Martin, how about you? I think we have to tell her, but she can tell us what we should tell her. Okay. So, Martin, are you
This is
okay
Martin.
with that?
I would defer to Phyllis's decision to hold annual election hours on May 10th from 9 until 7 p.m. if that's what she wants to do.
Okay, so Phyllis, you have to tell us what you want.
That would be fine.
Okay, so let me get a motion to do the May 10th election from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Senior Center. I need a motion on that.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, so we have a motion twice and we have a second twice, okay? We'll let Jill sort out who gets the motion and the second. Is there any further discussion on this? All right, let's do a roll call vote. Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee, aye, and then we'll revisit this on our next agenda and just ratify again what we have done. So, Phyllis, okay, now we know that the election will be held from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, so I appreciate that. I'm sorry that I didn't really think about that before tonight. So,
That's okay, no problem.
So the next thing that I just wanted to just bring to everyone's attention to is the fact that we will be offering early voting in person for the election. There will be one day designated to do that. The state is allowing us to make that determination. So on Wednesday, May 5th, from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. at the town hall, the meeting room next to my office, many of our voters are probably going to be a little bit familiar with the process we had for the primary and then for the presidential election. It'll work the same way. The only thing is that it will be one day. And then we are also...
What will be the hours?
Oh, I'm sorry, 10 a.m. until 7 p.m.
Okay.
And then the other thing is that we will be doing early voting by mail again. So anyone that does not feel comfortable for some reason coming to the polling location or that chooses not to early vote in person on that Wednesday has the option of requesting an early vote by mail ballot, which is very similar to an absentee ballot. We are updating the website and information on the website within the next day or so, and the forms will be available there as well as the Secretary of State's website. And all of that information can be found on our town website, or please feel free to call the office anytime during regular business hours, and we'll be happy to fill you in.
Okay. What else have we got going on, Phyllis?
So the only other thing that I wanted to mention in line with early voting is that if you are going to request a by-mail ballot, it has to be by Tuesday, May 4th. There is a new regulation in place that there's a deadline 4 business days prior to any election. So if you are planning on voting by mail, I need to have your applications in by the 4th of May. And I think that's it as far as the election goes right now. The nomination deadline is closed, and we have candidates running for each of the 4 positions that will appear on the ballot. Ballots will we have one more deadline on this Wednesday, the 7th, and then I can order ballots. So probably within 10 days, we will have those available. Voters can start requesting ballots at any time, however. There is no, just so there's no confusion, there is no voting by email. That's only for state or federal elections. So you either have to vote in person, early vote, or by mail. I would just ask patience of any voters that do come into the polling location on election day, as we will be limited still with the number of voters that we'll be able to have in the polling location at once. I will ask that they wear masks and just follow COVID-19 guidelines as we've done for the past year. So I'm not sure if there's any questions.
Well, I think we do also have, there's, I think, 3 candidates running for 2 positions on the planning board.
There is.
Okay. And will you post, this is a lot to absorb for people, will you post this on the news, under our news, so that they can go and get a quick shot of it if they want, as well as I know you have certain things that you'll be posting on your particular town clerk website page.
We will do that. We will be as inclusive as possible.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. All right. Let me just see quickly if there's any questions for Phyllis from anyone who is on the call. If you would just say your name and where you live, and then ask your question to Phyllis if you have any. Okay, I'm gonna take that as you did a great job, Phyllis, and thank you, for joining us this evening. And let's go back to, number 5, discussion possible action regarding 2020 Tree City USA certification application. Is there anyone here on this, or Rhonda, are you handling this?
You can handle it if you'd like, Renee. I'm not sure if anybody's on the call for it.
All right, let's ask you to handle it for us, please.
Well, we received an email from Tom Ingersoll regarding the 2020 Tree City USA application for certification. It's always retroactive for the year prior. So they're looking for the town to certify the application for the renewal and asking the chair to sign it. And he's also telling us that they plan to do something, probably some pruning on May 1st, but that'll be determined later.
Okay, board members?
This is Martin. I move that we nominate Renee Wood as chair to execute the 2020 Tree City USA application for certification.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All right, let's do a roll call vote. Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee, aye. Great. I think we've been doing this for a pretty long number of years, which is great. All right, so let's go to next, which is discussion regarding town meeting date. And I'm also kind of assuming, Rhonda, that that is also the arrangement. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I have not been able to get on to first class for a good majority of today, but I believe, Rhonda, you sent out as kind of in addition to our packet my latest thoughts. Is that correct?
I did.
And I'm sure my fellow board members are going, what is she thinking? But I always reserve the right to change my mind. And I think you've seen that I went out and measured. And with having to have 6 feet between the cars, we can't do it. There's just not enough space with 6 feet between the cars and the 200-foot limit on the quicker transmission. Plus, to top it off, the person that we had talked to about providing the outdoor service is booked. He didn't tell me this when we talked. I knew the date, but he is booked. You also saw how I thought we could make the inside by meeting inside at the Tac Pack and overflow to the gymnasium and then even overflow to the library, how we could make that even safer and also cut down the noise. That was a major problem last year. So I have changed my mind and would like to hold this meeting on May 3rd inside. I think we can do it safely. I'm very pleased with the number of shots we're getting, talking with Heather at Fairview Hospital. Very optimistic about the number of people who will be fully vaccinated within the next period of time. So, Martin, what would you like to add to the conversation?
That I had spoke with other town officials in some of our neighboring communities, and there were similar expressions of concern with regard to the individuals in automobiles and getting out of automobiles, as well as the parking and exiting at various stages when certain residents would say, I've been to enough of the meeting, I'm going to leave now. There were clearly safety issues with regard to the parking process and being able to manage that. So I at this stage am in favor of trying to hold the next town meeting indoors.
Bob, how about you?
I was always in favor of indoors. With the amount of shots that have been available to the people that are elderly or compromised, and as long as we follow social distancing and wear masks, I think we can do it safely. And The outdoor idea sounded okay, but there's a lot of logistical issues that will arise, and I just think for making it safe, secure, and handleable, it'll be better if we go with the inside.
Yeah, the thing that was interesting to me when I went over and measured the parking lot, once we took out basically every other parking space to get that 6 feet, we would have less people being able potentially to attend than we would if we just limited it to the tack pack. I'm not assuming that if four or five or six people are going to come per car. The other thing is all of the towns that held outdoor meetings last year, as I understand it, put the cars one right next to another, so there was no social distancing. I think also the air filters, those I'm not sure what they are, those ion exchange units or whatever that we got, we can take over to the school, and that will provide a much better air exchange in addition with the air conditioning than having those fans that were just so annoying last year. So, okay, so, and then of course we're still with the May 3rd date. Does somebody want to make a motion on this? Hitting both the location and the date in their motion.
I have one other question before we go
Sure.
ahead.
Yeah.
Have we got approval from the superintendent yet?
I can't access first class. She was to send that today. Martin, do you know?
Yes, I spoke with Beth this morning, and she is good with us having town meeting on May 3rd.
Excellent.
Indoors, Martin?
Indoors, yes.
Wonderful. We'll have to pay for the usual sanitation afterwards, etc., like we did last year. I notice also that this is a discussion and that this isn't a decision or possible action. So when we make our decision tonight, we'll have to post this on the next meeting just to kind of clean that up so we don't get an open meeting law complaint. Do we have a motion?
This is Martin. I'll make a motion that we decide to hold our annual town meeting on Monday, May 3rd, starting at 6 p.m. at Mount Everett Auditorium and Gymnasium, subject to all social distancing guidelines and regulations.
Second.
Okay, we're going to move it up an hour then.
But I thought that was the plan, yes.
Do we still want to go with that?
I'm okay with it, but
Okay, Bob, are you still okay with it?
I'm fine with it. Either way, 6 or 7, it doesn't affect me in that.
Rhonda, do you have any comments on that?
I think either way is fine, Renee.
All right, then let's go with what Martin has motioned. So is there any further discussion on this, board members?
no.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote. Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee? Aye. Okay. So I guess maybe, all right, so we've done the election update. So let's move now to the warrant. We got that today, and I think Rhonda will go through and just highlight each article, and then I think maybe what we're going to do, rather than vote, Rhonda, do we need to vote on each article, or can we vote on the whole warrant?
You can vote on the whole warrant, Renee.
Okay, so let's go through this by just kind of highlighting what each article says. This will be posted on the town's website and also around town by when, Rhonda?
Well, finance will approve it next week, so I'm saying maybe by the end of next week.
By the end of next week.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm going to just do a real quick summary, and if any of the selectmen have an objection to any of the articles, why don't you just say hold, and we'll take everything else up. If there's any that we have holds on, we'll take them up separately. So article number 1 is just the traditional town budget. Article number 2 deals with stipends for various elected officials, or which includes the moderator, the selectmen, and the school district committee. Article number 3 is the Southern Berkshire Regional School District's operating and transportation budget. Article number 4 is the school district's roof and boiler debt that we incurred a number of years ago. Article number 5 is the capital budget for the school. Article number 6 is a transfer regarding money to pay for vocational education tuition for next year. Article number 7 is $8,000 for the purpose of supporting the regional school district planning board. Article 8 is deals with the transfer station budget, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Rhonda. Article 9 deals with accepting Chapter 90, that is highway funds from the state. Article 10 deals with allowing the selectmen to hold any other office or position, such as the Board of Health, Conservation Commission, delegate to Berkshire Regional Planning Commission. Article 11 deals with the Board of Health to employ any of its members as Title V and perk test witnesses, and to set the salary for those positions. Article 12 deals with authorizing the treasurer collector to sell with the approval of the Board of Selectmen parcels which have been acquired through a foreclosure of tax title. 13 is basically the reserve fund transfer. A lot of these we see every single year, just the numbers sometimes change. Article 14 is money for the emergency response fund. Article 15 is firefighter training. Article 16 is for audits. Article 17 is just the normal revolving fund and setting the limits for those. Article 18 is rest of rare legal expenses. 19 is solid waste enterprise fund for certain transfer station programs. Article 20 is purchasing a new highway truck. Article 21 is money for tax certification. Article 22 is money for tax title. Article 23, Rhonda, seems to...
It's a duplicate. Yep.
It's a duplicate. Okay, so I'm going to still read going forward, but Article 23 will be taken out and all of these other ones will be renumbered. The next article is for the repair of dry hydrants. The next article deals with...
It's the solar, Renee?
Yes, thank you. This is an authorization for entering into, that the Board of Selectmen may enter into a tax agreement for payment of solar fees, and that will be filled out. The next one is to raise and appropriate the money that we need to pay for our new fire truck. This is the second payment on the financing. The next article deals with a zoning bylaw change, which is to allow a retail store in individual in the general business district, going from no to a planning board permit being required. The next article is allowing home occupation in the general business district through a planning board special permit. And that's it. So, board, what would you like to do?
I'd make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that.
Okay, and we just have that one correction. Any further discussion? If not, roll call vote. Bob?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Renee? Aye. Okay, so our next item, I'm going to just kind of keep going here. So our next item is discussion, possible action regarding the open meeting law complaint. This was filed by Nadine Hoover, naming both the Sheffield Board of Selectmen and Martin Mitzoff. I drafted, just for discussion purposes, a response on this, and I kind of want to open it up for the board for discussion. Bob or Martin, who wants to go first?
I'll let Martin.
Martin?
Thank you for drafting that. I disagree with its conclusions and its implications.
There were two things that were two conclusions.
The second conclusion regarding the other remaining specifics not being a matter of open meeting law, I agree with. The first bullet point I disagree with. I think it's inaccurate.
I was basically quoting the open meeting law education material.
Yes, and that if you're let's first talk about which email you're referring to.
Well, when I read the complaint, I'm referring to that email. I'm not referring to its tone or anything of that sort. It said you shared an email volley between yourself as a library trustee and our town administrator that you sent from your selectman's email. I don't have any problem with what you send to email to Rhonda. That's exactly the way they're supposed to go. And then it says, the third paragraph, he sent this to all members of the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen. I don't care what your goal was. Okay, that's not of interest to me. But you did send it to all members of the Finance and the Board of Selectmen.
Yes, I did. And it's clear that the message contains content that deals with the role of Martin Mitzoff as a library trustee, not as a select board member. If anybody has any doubts about that, they can always raise the question of in what capacity were you acting. But the sharing of that email had to do with my advocacy of the part-time staff wages at the library as a member of the library trustees.
Yeah, again,
So
I don't have any issue with the position you are taking. I'm just looking at this as what constitutes a deliberation. And it says the open meeting law defines deliberation as an oral or written communication through any medium, including electronic mail, between or among a quorum of a public body on any public business within its jurisdiction.
Correct.
And it says to be a deliberation, the communication must involve a quorum of the public body. As I read this, you sent it to a quorum of both the Finance Committee and a quorum of the Select Board.
However, as you well know, Renee, as we were educated by the chair of the Finance Committee, neither the Select Board nor the Finance Committee can change wages of town employees.
Doesn't have
Therefore,
anything to do.
therefore it is not within our jurisdiction for informational purposes.
The open meeting law, Tim, is very specific. It says communication through any medium, including electronic mail, between or among a quorum of a public body or any public business on any public business within its jurisdiction. Now, there was a huge discussion as to who could set the wages, and it came back, everybody kind of floated it around. But if I remember correctly, it came back to the Board of Selectmen, and we all settled the discussion by Rhonda reaching out to Dina and solving the matter.
I understand that.
So I'm just kind of still not understanding why this is not a violation.
Well, I guess it's a situation where you believe it to be a violation. I do not. I've read through the open meeting law numerous times, including just before this meeting started. And in my role as a library trustee, sending it to the select board and the finance committee was not a violation of the meeting law.
Okay, so I don't think we're going to settle this between us. All right. I think what we're going to have to do, excuse me, is involve council to settle this. Rhonda, I'm trying to remember how many days we have on these that came in on March 31st. What do we have, 14 days or is it 10 days?
I'd have to look it up, Renee. I don't know right off the top. I'm looking.
Okay, I think it's either 10 or 14, okay? But I think, excuse me, we will not have our next meeting prior to that date is the point I was getting to.
Now,
So,
I think,
as you know, I have drafted a response to the open meeting law complaint.
and you'll notice that I included that.
Yes.
Okay. So this, unfortunately, if Nadine had just made this to you, we wouldn't, as the Board of Selectmen, be involved. But unfortunately, she named the Sheffield Board of Selectmen, and so there are basically two respondents to this complaint. You as one, and the Select Board as the other. So I'm going to suggest the following, and then let's talk about other ways to possibly resolve this. Since Bob, we haven't heard where you are on this. Let's find out where you are on this.
Okay, so I think this is a little bit of the gray area, and it is going to be a little bit hard to filter it out. Martin sending those emails was a communication between him and Rhonda, but it didn't solicit a conversation or deliberation between the select board or the finance committee. It was more of an informational email. So I'm not quite sure. I'm thinking you're probably going to need higher command to decipher if it was enacted as a communication or deliberation between the boards, which would have had a quorum, or if it was just an informational email sent about a deliberation or a conversation that was held between the town administrator and a library board trustee.
Okay, well, she is, she is arguing in her third paragraph that he sent the communication to all members of the Finance Board of Selectmen. But I think I very much agree with you that I think what we need to do is have Rhonda talk and discuss this with town council, and I would be willing to accept anything the town council says, and to have her update this letter, because we will not be meeting potentially again. We may be meeting in a, see, Rhonda, when is our next working meeting? Is that?
It would be Thursday.
It's Thursday. What time is it?
I believe 3:00.
Okay, Rhonda, you wanted to say something, please.
I do. I think that the 10 days that you're thinking of is the board has 10 days to get it on the meeting agenda. After that,
Okay.
I don't know what your response time is, but I'll look that up and let you all know tomorrow.
Okay, so, if there is, today's Monday, if there's a way to get, town council's response on this, we can put it on the Monday, the Thursday meeting.
Okay.
Okay, because I'm willing to go with town council. I don't have to be right on this, I just need to know what legally town council says on this. Bob, I'm kind of hearing that possibly you are looking for town council advice too.
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, Martin, is that a plan of action good with you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we're going to defer this, and we're going to ask Rhonda to talk with town council and advise us on Thursday, and we'll put this on our working session agenda. Okay.
Can I make one request from Rhonda?
Absolutely, sure.
Rhonda, could you please give town council my 2-page response as well?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to discussion possible action regarding citizens letter regarding truck traffic on Polakoff Road. We've got that in front of us, and I do want to let you know that we do have it scheduled with, we have put on the traffic count list at BRTC a request to do the traffic count for Polakoff Road from Polakoff, where it ends in Sheffield, up to Human Street. They do not look at those until August, but we're in queue, and hopefully we'll find something out. We have Sam's letter in front of us. I've got a couple more ideas, but let's hear from the board on this.
Well, I guess I'll go first.
Good.
After reviewing the letter, I know the area very well. I live in Ashley Falls. And I understand the residents' hesitation at having so much truck traffic. But on the other hand, I also understand deliveries with trucks. We use trucks, and I have a truck that traverses that direction to get bed sand for bedding for the farm. There's basically no good reasoning for me outside of being a residential area to prohibit trucks. The road is straight, the visibility is good, the intersections are not bad. It's the most direct, efficient way to get to the 3 gravel pits and 1 quarry in that area. It's just, I can understand the residents' grievance. Nobody likes truck traffic, but I checked with Chief. We have had no trouble as far as accidents or any other issues with truck traffic in that area. So I'm not in favor of limiting any truck traffic there.
Okay, Martin?
I agree with Bob. I am not in favor of limiting truck traffic on a road that's already being used for truck traffic, and with no real expansion plans for making that a much more dense residential neighborhood. The lot sizes are fixed for the most part. The traffic has been occurring well before the marijuana issue, and it's just part of living in a rural town.
Does the board have any issue with us going ahead with trying to get a traffic count? It would be free of charge from the RTC. It would be in probably August and September, that time.
I have no problem with getting the traffic count. I don't know if that would change any decision of mine, but
Well,
we can look at
we'll
traffic.
try and get some information. Let me ask you 2 other things. Do you feel, I'm kind of feeling, I'm not sure that I'm hearing speeding issues, but I do know that is a straightaway. I'm wondering if we should ask the chief. We do have that, here's your speed, here's what you should be doing. Mobile unit that we share with New Marlboro, I believe. I'm wondering if we should ask the chief to kind of put it down there for a little while and see if it doesn't slow things down a bit.
This is Martin. I think that's fine as long as the residents agree to that speed sign being put in their neighborhood.
No, they have no issue on it. It's a town road. I mean, do we have to now start getting everybody's permission if we want to put the mobile unit out?
Well, that's exactly my point. This is a neighborhood that's come together to reject legitimate businesses and so forth. Now they're talking about truck traffic. We got to make sure they're okay with the signs.
I don't know if it's the trucks that have.
So, okay, so we'll talk to the chief about that. I'm not aware of ever us asking, people if we can put up a sign to limit it, put up within the town's right of way off of the road. The other thing I'm not hearing, but I know I've been down there. In fact, I was down there this weekend, and I was kind of surprised, to be honest, that there was no yield sign coming off of Polakoff, going to your right, onto Clayton. I mean, it was just, there was nothing. I know that there's good sight there, but I'm not sure if you said, I don't know if there's been any car accidents down there. I'd like to kind of check with the chief on that. You had checked Martin with the truck traffic, but I'm wondering if there wouldn't be some benefit to having our police chief and chief of police and our highway department kind of just take a look at that whole area. You've got Stall and you've got East Stall and and you've got Clayton and East Stall, and then you've got Polakoff onto Clayton as a right-hand turn. I know you got a stop sign there, but I'm just wondering if there might be some benefit to having the highway department and the chief kind of look at the signage.
I think there would. This is Martin. I think there would be
some advantage to it.
Yes.
Okay, Bob, how about you?
I have no problem having Chief look at it. I did question Chief and to see if there had been any issues, and he was not aware of any issues other than neighbors not being happy with truck traffic. That was the extent of it.
I can understand that. I sometimes see trucks on the road that I live on, and it's like, why are you here? And if you're going to go into Great Barrington, this road gets really narrow toward the end of it. Once it passes over the Sheffield line. But okay, I don't know that we need a motion on those three issues. So why don't we just go ahead and do it, and we'll report back and hopefully in less than a month or so. How's that sound?
Very good.
Good to me.
All righty. So, Rhonda, would you bring us up to date on our one day alcohol beverage license that we'll be taking some action on?
Sure. So we've received a permit from Michael Funk, who would like to hold a party, or was holding a party at the town park on May 22nd. The plan is to hold a wedding celebration for his daughter and son-in-law. And let's see, I'm just reading really quickly. So there will be dinner served and a typical wedding reception activities.
Are we sending out anything to folks who are signing up for the park regarding social spacing and all of social distancing and all of that stuff?
Yes, we've talked to each one who's called, and I believe we do have a paper that we can send over, letting them know what the rules and guidelines are for having a function at the park. And I believe there's a limit of 150 people.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So as board wish to take action on this?
I would say we go ahead and approve the one-day liquor license.
Okay, that's presented. Okay, great. So we have a motion and a second on it. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, could we make that pending insurance information? the
Yes, ma'am.
liability.
You okay with that, Bob?
Yes.
Yep, Martin, you okay?
Yes.
Okay, so, roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Martin,
Aye.
Renee, aye. All right. We also next have the appointment, of a planning board alternate member, and we have in our packet that, Pat Levine has volunteered, and, this would only go through the end of this fiscal year. And she's, this would be as a planning board alternate. Is there a motion on this?
Excuse me 1 minute, Renee. Do you want to also vote to suspend your policy of announcing and then 2 weeks later making the appointment? Because I think they need somebody sooner rather than later.
I thought we were appointing her. That's what it says under 12.
Right, because I wanted to talk to you about suspending your appointment policy and making the appointment tonight.
Oh, okay. So, planning board members, are needed. This alternate is needed. So do we want to suspend our our announcement and then we wait till the next meeting? I kind of thought that Pat had come forward on this before, but, I'm just probably thinking about this. So do we want to appoint her without our usual 2-week, reservation period?
I would say under the circumstances, yes.
Okay, so that's a motion to appoint Pat Levine to the planning board as an alternate member.
This is Martin. I'm going to second it with the formal announcement that I am also a member of the Bushnell Stage Board of Library Trustees, on which I serve with Pat for the appearance of any potential conflict of interest in my seconding the motion and voting on the motion to appoint Pat Levine as an alternate on the planning board.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Let's do a roll call vote. Bob,
Aye.
Martin,
Aye.
Renee, aye, and thank you, Pat, for stepping up. We appreciate it greatly. Rhonda, would you handle the next one for us, an appointment announcement for the school committee?
So we received a letter of resignation from Dr. Jonathan Bruno from the Southern Berkshire Regional School Committee. And so tonight we're putting it out there that there is an opening, and anyone who is interested should send a letter of interest into the Board of Selectmen. They can do that through my email, through the Dropbox, or through the mail.
And they are on 4-year terms, so this person would serve on the school committee until, I think they do their elections, it'd be November of, when's the next school committee election? November
22, but I'll check with
November
Phillips.
22. Yeah, I think it would be basically, yeah.
I'm
Okay.
still on the call. It is, the next one would be this in 2022.
Okay, and I think they, it would be with the state and the federal elections, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just more than the fiscal year. Okay, so we
And-
are accepting. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
Bonnie Silvers has her hand up, which you won't be able to see because you're on the phone.
No, thank you, Bob. Bonnie.
Just to let you know, the person does not fill the full 4-year term. The person, even though John was just elected, they only serve until the next school committee election, which you are correct about, is 22. The person does not get to serve until 24. And the person is selected by the remaining 3 Sheffield, Southern Berkshire Regional School District school committee members and the select board.
Yeah, I was just going to get to that. Thank you, Bonnie. I couldn't get on first class to the Zoom link, and I wasn't going to try and type in all those numbers and letters. So Bob, thank you for doing that. So we are looking for applicants. We will try to take this up. When are we going to take this up? Possibly at our meeting on the 20th week, or before that, we could ask the remaining 3 school committee members to join us. Is that a possible date that we might put out there just as kind of a target for 20? That gives lots of time for people to submit their applications. Board members, are we good with that?
I'm good with it.
I'm good.
Bonnie, you think that would work?
Previously, you've given everybody, when we've had other vacancies, 2 weeks as the minimum to apply, and
That would
then
do it.
proposing the date, I can speak to the other members of the school committee.
Okay, we'll pick out a time, but you know, as today's the 5th, 14 days, we would be acting on it in a very timely fashion. So let's see if we can't square that away, and maybe we could do that at 6 p.m. Do you think that might work, Rhonda? I don't think we have anything else before our meeting on that day.
Sure, that'll be fine.
Yeah, so let's just kind of pencil that in for 6 p.m. on 4/20. But the main thing is, this is a wonderful opportunity to be on the school committee and have a chance to see what goes on. You're not on it for the full 4 years. You'd just be on it until the elections in November of 22, and the new school committee is either voted in, or if the person wanted to choose to run, they could run at that time. So, all right. So, Rhonda, this next item is yours, discussion and possible action regarding trash and recycling contracts.
So we currently have,
Sorry, I just interrupt. Did we already accept Dr. Bruno's resignation?
I don't know whether we accept it or the Southern Berkshire Regional School Committee accepts it, but why don't we accept it too? Do you want to make a motion on that?
Yes, I make a motion that the select board accept Dr. Bruno's letter of resignation from the Southern Berkshire Regional School Committee, and that we send Dr. Bruno a letter of thanks on behalf of the town.
Wonderful.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Thank you, Martin. Roll call vote, Martin,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Renee, aye. Great. All right, so now let's move on to the trash and recycling contracts. Rhonda?
so we currently have a contract with Casella, which is going to expire on June 30th of this year. Trash hauling and recycling is exempt from the procurement law, so the board could vote to extend those contracts either for a year, which is what we did last year, or we could offer Casella a 3-year contract, or we could put it all out to bid. So what I'm looking for today is for the board's opinion on where they want to go with this.
Board members?
How has the service been?
Had great service from Casella. I don't have any complaints.
Now, this is for the transfer station, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, this isn't a town-wide contract. It's for the transfer station. Martin?
Rhonda, in the past, when we've opened it up for, a request for bid, have there been multiple parties that would tend to respond?
It was many years ago, I think, Martin, that we did, and I can look at it, but I think we received 2. Of course, at the time it wasn't Casella. It's been through 2 name changes since then as well.
Right.
Huge change in businesses.
And sorry, again, when does this contract expire?
June 30th.
I'm kind of leaning toward asking for proposals.
Oh, I'm not. I think it's just an incredible amount of work to get done, and I'm very concerned about what's happened with fuel since this contract was negotiated. I'm not even sure. Do you even know if they would accept a 1 year extension?
I don't.
Or 3 year extension?
No, I didn't want to talk to them before speaking with the board.
I just think it's a lot of work, Martin. We're in April right now. We finished the town meeting in May.
Right. Well, if we could ask Rhonda then to ask them for their terms for a 1 year extension, I would be in favor of that.
Yeah, they may say no, and we may end up going out to bid anyway.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Rob, your thoughts?
As long as their rates seem to be competitive with other haulers, I'm not sure how many haulers there actually are left that would be, in competition with them, and or how their, rates compare.
So does that give you enough information to kind of work on, Rhonda?
It does. I'll contact Casella and then get back to the board.
Okay, all right. So we'll kind of continue that discussion, if that's all
Yes.
right? Okay. Board members, we okay with that?
Good.
Yes.
So there's an update from the recycling coordinator. I'm kind of doing this after the open meeting law violation complaint. I'm kind of thinking that I, in the past, have kind of just gone in as a select board member and updated people and said I'm the recycling coordinator, which I am. So from here on in, I'm going to identify myself as a recycling coordinator and present just a very quick report to the board. I wanted to just let you know that there's quite a few things going on. We are, first of all, having our hazardous waste day with a number of other towns, and this is on the recycling and solid waste web page of the town. That day is going to be May 15th. It's a Saturday. It basically goes, I think it's from 9 to 2. Pre-registration is encouraged, and on the website, just click the blue button as hazardous waste collection, and it has all of the listing of the things you can and cannot bring. This is one of 2 that we do each year. Both of them are just a little bit different, but this is kind of the big one. The second thing I wanted to let you know is that on May 1st, Rhonda kind of spoke of this with the Sheffield Tree Project. There's going to be kind of an Arbor Day celebration. They're going to be doing pruning. The Sheffield Tree Project will be doing pruning demonstrations and a number of other things. But also, your recycling coordinator will be at the library from 9 to 11, and we'll be announcing a few things like our compost bins for this year. I'm going to be doing collection of any and all batteries except for car batteries, like button, rechargeable, lithium ion, and alkaline batteries. And there'll be a few other things. There'll be information on composting, and so it's kind of a little bit of an Earth Day, Arbor Day, recycling day, but 9 to 11 at the library. The other thing I just wanted to let you know that is if you need any more of the transfer station coupons, I think everybody got a number of them with their transfer station license. If you need those for bulky waste or mattress, you can recycling. You can call the town administrator's office. There's multiple ways to buy additional transfer station coupons, including online. And then the last thing is, this isn't kind of recycling, but it is in a way. There's going to be a huge town cleanup of the roadsides on April 24th from 9 to 2 p.m. Neil Chamberlain is coordinating that for Ashley Falls, and Jenny Russell is coordinating it for Sheffield. You can get bags from them. You can choose what roads you want to clean up, and we're just hoping that as many people as possible participate in that. So that's it from the recycling coordinator. So next item, update on park reservations. Rhonda?
So we put this on here because we're beginning to receive many calls regarding the park and renting the park. So as I stated earlier, your function has to be under 150. And we plan on having an application and all the information that you need up on the town website by the beginning of May. And also the restrooms will be open by then, along with a porta potty that's more accessible for people. It'll be the larger one. So I just wanted to remind everyone that if you want to use the park for a function, you need to call our office. And if you're looking to serve alcohol at your function, it's going to be a little bit of a longer process, so you should contact us sooner rather than later.
So what does somebody do if they want to reserve the park before May, or is the park not open for reservations before May?
If we can get the restrooms open, and I don't have a date from the plumber yet on when he can get those open, they should just call us and have a conversation, and we should know more in the next week.
Okay, great. Any comments on the board on opening up town park?
I'm fine with it.
I'm good.
Martin?
I'm also good.
Okay, wonderful. So a marijuana establishment update. I thought we would just put this on here just to let people know that the planning board denied the Wiseacre application, as well as the ZCG application. And both were for outdoor cultivation on Polikoff. They did approve the Berkshire Wellco application for the old custom extrusion building. The only, I think, open, we haven't signed it yet, we just a few changes. Host community agreement is with Sundrops, and I don't know that we've gotten any further with anybody else. Rhonda or board members, do you want to add an update?
I don't have anything else.
Martin?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Rhonda?
No, nothing, Renee.
Okay, and then also the planning board and the select board will be meeting at the planning board's meeting on the 14th to discuss the memo that we had sent to the planning board regarding discussions on outdoor marijuana establishments. And so that'll be the 14th of April. It'll be a Zoom meeting, I'm sure. All right, board items. Martin?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Bob?
Just something kind of in regard, and it kind of goes along with the open meeting law complaint. It is kind of difficult at times. Most of us that sit on boards sit on more than one, and sometimes we wear multiple hats, and we get out of our lane a little bit, or somebody has a little issue with which hat we're wearing at what time. But these positions need to be filled, and usually the most dedicated people fill more than one position and have multiple hats. And I could list several that are on this call tonight that wear multiple hats. So I would just suggest to those of us that do wear more than one hat, try to remember to stay in our lane and make sure we announce which hat we're wearing, and that there's a little bit of lateral movement and flexibility for those that do wear multiple hats. That, you know, sometimes there is a little bit of gray area, and we shouldn't really come down so hard on the minutia of the whole idea. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Bob. I have two items. I just really want to thank Boy Scout Troop 28. It's my understanding that this past weekend they did a cleanup around Clayton Road and that whole area in Ashley Falls, and I thank them and their troop leaders for taking that initiative on cleaning up the roads. Thank you very much. The other thing I just want to let people know is it is time to call the Berkshire Mosquito Control Company and opt out of mosquito spraying if that is something that you want to do. is in, you can Google it, but the number is 413-447-9808. And I think Chris last year tried to accommodate everybody that called him and not spray their properties, but we were a little bit late in getting that reminder out. So I wanted to get that out tonight. So Berkshire Mosquito Control, 413-447-9808. Call Chris and tell him if you want to opt out. Otherwise, your property will be sprayed as he does his normal spraying in town. Rhonda, Town Administrator items.
I don't have anything, Renee. Thank you.
Okay, public comments. If you'd like to say something, would you just please identify yourself and where you live? And we've got 3 minutes. So who's first?
Sam Stolzar from Polycock Road.
Hi, Sam.
Hi. I just want to address the board. I sent the letter to Rhonda earlier this month, or last month rather, in regards to truck traffic. I'm not asking for an outright ban of truck traffic. No one, I don't think, is implicated or implied that. The amount of truck traffic that uses our neighborhood and the town-owned roads to avoid mostly DOT inspections in Connecticut is the issue. It's not just people accessing the gravel pits. It's full-size 18-wheelers bypassing Troop B and Canaan to get to where they're going. So to imply that we're just anti-business and trying to keep trucks off our roads is not the case. But some smart limits or restrictions, I think, are definitely reasonable. I also talked to Chief Munson today, and he was in agreement with me, especially in regards to the fact that these roads aren't designed for heavy trucks. Town just spent money to repave them, 4 years ago? They're going to get chewed up and destroyed. Not to mention the other issue with pedestrian traffic. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, thank you.
Bonnie Silvers, 15 Bow Road. I am speaking not as a school committee, Bob, based on what you said, but as a citizen of Sheffield, adamantly, strongly voicing the opinion that you should reconsider where the town meeting will be held. Yes, we have people who are vaccinated, but if you think back to the olden days of 2019, the good majority of the people who attend our town meetings are senior citizens, many of whom have done everything to stay alive during this period. And yes, they are vaccinated, and we all know the vaccine we're thrilled with it. It's not 100%. And if you look at the March guidelines from the CDC, it continues to say avoiding large gatherings. It continues to say that cases are extremely high, avoid events and gatherings. It continues to say that we don't know the impacts of the variants. I, again, would say that we should look at the ability to broadcast over our radios in our cars with our windows closed and setting up microphones that people walk to if they pose a question. To me, this is disenfranchising a large number of people who come to and take those meetings very seriously. And those individuals got their vaccines so that they could see family. And their major objective is not spending, we know it's going to be longer than 15 minutes, with people who are not in their household. And I view this as unnecessary exposure. And we know that we have numbers of people who have absolutely refused to be vaccinated. I don't think that this is a smart action. And I know the amount of comments I've received from neighbors and others who are not neighbors, but Sheffield citizens who believe that they are not being listened to on this issue. So I hope you will examine alternatives not to bring a large number of people into the tack back, with numbers rising, with variants, etc. That is my comment.
Thank you. It was interesting. Our last participant the state last Thursday, as reported, was 2/3 of 1% going lower. When we started this discussion, which has been pretty darn robust, we had one person, and we asked people to let us know their thoughts. And I think this was at the last select board meeting. We had one person who gave us her opinion and gave us some thoughts. That was all we heard from when I went out, and just trying to give you some information. When I went out and measured where we could be in cars, and we have to give up half of the spaces in the area that we could transmit to, we could take 64 cars. Now, if people come one to a car or two to a car, and we can't handle anyone else, then what have we just done to those people? And I think we'd have to cancel the town meeting because we couldn't handle those that are there. I'll ask the other board members to speak if they wish. I really think we have given this thought, and we have asked for public input, and I thank you for giving us this input. I don't believe the board is going to change his mind. I think we're moving forward, and once again, it's going to be, nobody's going to be happy with us, but I'm hoping that with the air exchange units that we're bringing in and the ability to space and 3 spaces that are possible for people to sit in, the fire department is going to help us again, that we will do everything in our ability to keep people safe, but it will always be a choice as to whether they come or not. Martin or Bob, do you want to add anything?
This is Martin. Bonnie, we do appreciate your comments on this. It is an extremely difficult decision to make one way or the other than simply not having a town meeting. And we're, as with everything having to do with COVID-19 over the past 14 months, some people are pleased with the results and others are vehemently objecting to it. There is simply no human possibility to address all of the concerns adequately under any set of circumstances given this virus. So I appreciate your...
I'd just really like to add one other thing to it. Is there any way that those who wanted to would be able to attend, register ahead of time, attend virtually so that you could determine that they are eligible to vote? I mean, I just think it's really stepping out on a limb, and I know you did not take this lightly. I am not criticizing you in any way in terms of that. I did not know it was already under consideration, but I appreciate your attention to it. I just hope that we could account for all of those people that I'm used to seeing there who will not have the opportunity because they didn't go through all this in order to attend a town meeting. Is it totally against the law under these circumstances, given recent guidelines from the Commonwealth, for people to be able to attend and vote virtually?
We would have to do a totally virtual meeting, and we don't know how to do that. I'm aware of one town that did it last year, and they had 16 people handling the online virtual situation. We're not equipped to do that, Bonnie. I mean, think of this on this situation, and now you have. Let's just pick last year we had 130 people. Let's just assume we have the same response as last year. 130 people on what? Some sort of a Zoom meeting, somebody trying to figure this all out, somebody trying to, moderate who speaks, and then people voting. I mean, I just don't know how that just happens. I don't know how that happens.
And Mrs. Martin, I certainly don't see that the town of Sheffield as a whole has the supporting technological infrastructure to support the massive bandwidth that would be required for that.
And we also disenfranchise those, who don't have broadband or don't have internet. So, we again, I know this is going to be very disappointing. I did everything that, and the board was with me, and to try and figure out how we could do an outdoor meeting at the school, being in the cars, which would allow people to be in a car, use the clickers, and it just isn't going to work. So.
Well, I don't want to. I respect that. I just wonder how it was so successful in Great Barrington at Monument.
They had the closest right. They had the cars right next to each other,
with windows closed and all. All right. I don't want to take up time.
Bonnie, I have no idea whether the windows were closed or not, but we have to social distance, so we cut the parking lot in half. And,
all right. I respect everybody.
But you are verbalizing the angst and the no good, no. This is we're doing the best we can. We've really delved into this. New Marlboro last year spent over $10,000 on a tent, and then they had the electrical equipment, et cetera, and they had 98 people at their meeting. Other places like Stockbridge is getting ready to do this outside. They're expecting 100 people. We have more than that show up even under the situations of last year. We have usually, last year was 130, which was low. We had been averaging 300 people at a town meeting. We don't know how to plan for that big of a group in an outside setting. It's just, we don't know how to do it. We've tried, but I thank you for your concern, and people once again will have to make a decision. We are going to take a number of we have skinnied down the warrant. We will be using the clickers again to make it go as quickly as people would like. We will be having a second meeting, special town meeting, probably in July or August, to kind of go over some of the larger issues that we just decided we did not want to put on this meeting, such as the recodification of our general bylaws, because we thought it would just take too long. So we try to do everything we can to kind of make this as accommodating as possible. But all right, thank you, Bonnie. Who's next?
This is Trey Hyde of 535 Polycroft Road.
Hi.
First thing I would just like to point out that I'm only 10 years old, so I'd just like to make something clear. Families in Ashley Falls cleaned up Bunce Road, Clayton Road, Polycroft Road, and I'd just like to say that it wasn't just the Boy Scouts doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that correction, and thank you all the families that did that work, including you.
Thank you.
Who's next? Anyone else? Okay, thank you all for attending. Our next meeting is going to be on April 20th, because the 19th is a day off. And is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All right, roll call vote. Martin.
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Renee, I. Thank you again. Have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.
Good night.